Hello and welcome to this month's HourWork Mini Manager Training. This month we're talking about a really exciting topic that everyone seems to have been requesting for basically the past couple months since we started these monthly trainings for hiring managers. So this month is about generations, a multi-generational workforce. How do you recruit and retain people when you've got boomers all the way to Gen Z in the workforce looking for jobs, working for you? How do you recruit and retain people who are very different and come from very different backgrounds? And so the key lesson from today's training to take away is that a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't work for hiring and retention when we have so many different generations and types of people in our workforce. Let's dig in. So this is me, Rob Snyder, co-founder here at HourWork. We used to be called Surge, so you might know us by that name. What do? We help over 4,000 quick service restaurants with hiring and retention. We have text and email hiring campaigns that go to past applicants and former employees. We also have a retention suite that helps you check in with new hires, check in with your current employees, and learn why employees stay and learn why they leave. If you want to learn more about that, my email is right here, rob@hourwork.com. Send me an email anytime. Happy to share more information. All right, let's dig into the training. So before we jump in, I want you to think about this question. What's different about managing someone who's a Gen Z versus someone who's a baby boomer, right? Share your answers in the chat on the video, or feel free to just write them down and see what you think and compare them with other managers. So what we typically get in terms of answers are technology, communication, work styles, values, job preferences, life experiences, and a bunch of other things. A lot of responses are around technology, but interestingly, a lot are around values and what they want out of a job. So we created this really helpful cheat sheet that I'm going to run through very quickly. If you want a copy of this, just email me as well, rob@hourwork.com. You can get the full cheat sheet. So there's baby boomers who were born between 1946 and 1964. They were 53 years old on average when the iPhone was released. There's Generation X, 1965 to 1980. They were 36 years old when the iPhone was released, but in a lot of surveys, they're just about as tech savvy as millennials are. There's the millennials, who we've all heard a lot about. 1981 to 1996 birthdays, they were 20 years old when the iPhone was released. And Gen Z, who were born between 1997 and 2012. They're in the workforce now for a lot of you, and they were on average 4 years old when the iPhone was released. Now, there's a lot of differences out there in all the literature between the different generations. And so if you want this cheat sheet that goes deeper into it, feel free to just email me, but I'm going to plug forward on the main point of this training. What are the tips for hiring and retaining employees when you have a multi-generational workforce? Let's start with hiring. Remember, the takeaway here is that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to hiring and retention. We have to learn about what the candidate prefers and what matters to them. So here's a question that we should be asking in our interviews, but I've seen very few people do. So it's talking about the hiring process. Some people may prefer a very digital hiring process. Others prefer a face-to-face hiring process. And so one question you could ask is, hey, for our next step in the interview process, we typically schedule an in-person interview. Would you prefer to do a quick phone call or video chat first? Or do you have any questions I can answer by text? This opens the field for people to get more comfortable to eventually come into that in-person interview, but doesn't require them to come in when they may not be comfortable with that yet. Especially millennials and Gen Z like to do things by phone and online. And so the idea of an in-person interview, you kind of have to sell them on that, where maybe a boomer's already planning on showing up tomorrow, whether or not you invite them. So we saw that when an operator instilled this question, they significantly reduced no-show rates by doing this in their hiring process. The other piece here is thinking about the differences between people in different generations, right? You want to tell them about all the awesome benefits you offer, but some people may actually care more about different benefits than others. So in the interview process, it's really helpful to ask, hey, I'm going to run you through all the different benefits we offer. But before I do that, is there anything that's super important to you? Like your, like tuition reimbursement or scheduling or advancement opportunities or anything like that. Opening the field for them to tell you what's really important to them so that you can then focus on, for example, tuition, if that's what they care about. In our exit surveys, we've seen that employees often leave saying, yeah, I went to this other place that had this benefit. And the companies that I talk with are always like, well, we offer that too. How did they not know that? And so this is a really good place to catch that in the interview process. All right, that was our hiring tips. Remember, no one size fits all. Learn from the candidate what's important to them and what's comfortable to them too. Same thing goes on the retention side. Again, no one size fits all approach. We want to learn from employees what matters to them and what they prefer, and build that personal relationship between managers and employees. Because once we have that personal relationship, once we have that trust, it's a lot harder for someone to go somewhere else, even if they're making 25, 50 cents more per hour there. Okay, so what I've seen be really helpful on the retention side is offering employees a bunch of different ways to give feedback. One-on-one in-person check-ins are the gold standard. You want to be doing these with all of your employees, but you don't just want to be doing these. You want to be opening up other channels for people who may not be as comfortable being super truthful or forthcoming in their one-on-ones. So you want to have automated text and email check-ins, right? Some people are really comfortable with text and email. And you want to have anonymous surveys too, because some people may not even be comfortable with text or email responses. They want to give their response anonymously. And while some of those responses may hurt, they are all geared towards making the workplace better. And then the other thing I've seen is closing the loop. When you make improvements based on what people say in their one-on-ones and their text or email check-ins or their anonymous surveys, you want to tell everyone, you want to share that broadly and tell them what you're doing to keep improving the workplace so that more people feel comfortable coming to you, giving you ideas, and feeling like this is a workplace that is tailored to them. So communicate with employees in multiple ways. Again, in person, in groups, right? Pre-shift, during the shift. Digital announcements by whatever system you're using, email, text, chat, those also help. All right, so that was hiring and retention tips. I want to leave you with a couple quick things. One is, what does every generation have in common? What does everyone want out of work? Generations are important, but also there are things that everyone wants. And so I love leaving the training with this. Think about your answer. What does every single employee you have want out of work? I typically get money, obviously, but respect, training, to be heard, to do great work, and to work with a good, fun team. I'll leave you with this. Generations are interesting and important. But in a world where it's hard and really hard to hire and retain, great managers make all employees feel understood, respected, welcome, regardless of what the employee's preferences are, regardless if they are, Gen Z or a boomer, right? It's about making every single employee feel understood, welcome, and respected. And in this difficult world, great managers are more important now than ever. All right, that was today's training. Again, my email is rob@hourwork.com. If you need help with getting hires, retention, reducing turnover, feel free to reach out. Or if you want any of these slides, feel free to reach out as well. Thank you so much.